Okay, welcome to Adobe Premiere. This will be our video editing program. It's a very powerful program and you can do a lot with it. And the interface can be a little daunting at first, but once you learn the basic tools, it becomes pretty easy to add and subtract things from the timeline and put in your touches for editing. Now, when you first open Premiere, this window will pop up and it'll ask you what you want to do. It's very simple. Either open an existing project, create a new project. Recent projects will be listed here, but you probably won't have any listed at the moment. And you might not ever have recent projects because of computers being wiped overnight. So we're going to create a new project, and there's there's going to be two windows that pop up, and this is the one of them. The things that we want to look at are the location and the name of our project. So the location is going to be the thaw space or large hard drive, is you want to save your Premiere project file and all the other video and audio and picture files to have a lot of space for that. And so you're going to choose thaw space and you're going to make a folder named your name. I would recommend doing this before you even open Premiere, but you can do it here as well. So if I go to browse and I choose thaw space, but on mine this is my local computer. So if this was thaw space, I could just click make new folder and then type my name and then save it in there. But I'm going to name or save mine to Premiere Project. So I've already created this folder, hit OK. And then the name of this project is not going to be untitled. We're going to name it California Ad. A little ad for California. Click OK. And then this window is going to ask us what our project settings are going to be. So DV NTSC is the category, and then widescreen 48 kilohertz is what we want. So go ahead and click on that once. And then sequence name is going to pop up, and it says sequence 01. That's fine. I don't ever change the name of the sequence. It's basically the name of your timeline is sequence 1. So go ahead and hit OK. Now when Premiere pops up here, these are some of the palettes that you're going to look at. Now, Premiere looks a lot different than Photoshop, Illustrator, Flash. All those have pretty similar looks to them. This one's a little different. The color scheme is different, and also the panels look a lot different because you're working with video. You got a video window up here. You got your timeline. You got some other panels over here. So I'm just going to take you on a little journey around here. We're not going to use everything today, but we are going to use a lot of it eventually. This is your toolbar up here, or at least these are your tools, but you can move these things around to different places on the screen. Right now this is kind of the default location, so yours should be up here. Sometimes they're down here on the right too. And we're going to talk about how to use some of these tools later on. Right here is your project panel, and this has all the names of the videos and audio files and any other things that you're going to bring in to edit. Right now sequence 01 is the only thing in there, and that's basically your timeline right here is sequence 01. You can have multiple sequences or multiple timelines within a project. That's when it gets a little complicated. We're never actually going to create multiple sequences, so we're not going to ever worry about that anyway. Down here, normally your media browser is up first, but if you go here to effects, this is where you can put in audio and video effects and transitions. That's where things fade from one thing to another. So these are really handy to have. Your timeline, which is kind of like the Flash timeline because it's sequential. And then you have your time here, and then this little blue tool right here with a red line on it. This represents where you are viewing your timeline, and you'll also notice that it moves up here as well at the same time. As I move this back and forth, you'll notice that the time code right here changes, this yellow set of numbers. These numbers represent time, so right now we're at 1 minute, 19 seconds, and 15 milliseconds for our time, and then this would be hours. And so the further down the timeline you go, the more this time goes. Now if I wanted to go to say 6 minutes, I could highlight or click on this and put a 6 where the 4 is and put zeros here and zeros here, and it'll take me right to 6 minutes as soon as I hit enter. So there's the 6 minute mark right there. So if you ever wanted to find your way directly to one point at a time, then you can do it right here. And it didn't go right to 6, it went to 0.02 milliseconds, but it's very close. And then you've got all your layers of audio and video. It's important to know that you have these layers. You can use the layers just like you do in Photoshop or Illustrator or any other of the Flash or any other programs. Whatever's on the top is going to take precedence, and whatever's on the bottom is going to get covered up by what's on the top. And then audio, you can mix audio back and forth here. I'm going to show you more about the timeline once we actually have some stuff on there. In these two windows, this window right here shows you the entire sequence. So once you hit play, then it'll play through this. There's two ways to hit play. You can hit the space bar and it'll start playing, or you can hit the play button right here. Not going to play anything at the moment because we don't have anything on the timeline yet. And this window right here is where you can fine-tune your editing. So let's go ahead and import some of the files that we're going to use. I'm going to go to File, Import, and I'm going to go to my folder that my stuff is in, choose the media folder, and I'm going to choose video. And there's a lot of files that I'm going to use in here. I'm going to use all these A-roll plan A's, so all three of these. So I'm going to click and hold Control and just click on all the ones I want so that they highlight. And I want to do the B-roll ride by, and I want to do the B-roll standing around, and I want to do the B-roll train. And yeah, I think that's it. Yep, those are the videos. Hit OK. It's going to import the files for a little while. Now they're all right here. Now a way to keep these things organized over here in my clip bin here is that I can actually make little folders. So it's called New Bin. And you hold your clips in bins. So if I click the bin here, and I'm going to name this video, and then I'm going to click on my B-roll train, and I'm going to scroll to the top and hold Shift and click on that top one so that all of them are selected. I'm just going to drag these to the video bin. Now they're all in here. So now if I don't want to look at my video at the moment, I can hit this little arrow next to the video bin and it will make them disappear temporarily. Makes things handy, especially when you have a lot of files that you're going to be taking from. So let's go ahead and import some other stuff. I'm going to go to File, Import, and we're going to go back to Media, and I'm going to choose Graphics, and I'm going to take this graphic, the XCA logo, and I'm going to go to File, Import one more time so that we can get some audio. So I'm going to go back to Media, go to Audio, and I want Ambient Ocean, and I want Explore California Intro with Percussion and Bass. So hold Control and you can click on random files here. Alright, so now I got my picture, my two audio files, and then my bin full of video. So the first thing that I want to do is grab my A-roll plan A08 because I'm going to get a lot of audio from here. So I'm going to drag this onto my timeline. So there's a couple of different ways you can edit within Premiere. I'm going to show you a couple of them right now. Right now we can only see this clip. We're very zoomed out of it right now. And so if I want to zoom in, I can grab my zoom in and zoom out tool, which is down here, and I can click to zoom out or zoom in by clicking on this button. I can also drag this in and out and it will zoom in and out of my option. You can also hit the backslash key, which is right above the enter key, and that will bring it out too, but you can always just zoom in or out. Now we're going to be taking audio from this, and we want to find the right place for taking the audio. So if you hit play or just hit the space bar, you're going to see this thing play.
Try giving me the whole line just one more time. Okay. Beautiful scenery, plenty of places to ride, perfect weather. It just doesn't get any better than this. Beautiful scenery, plenty of places to ride.
So at the beginning we have this guide coaching him on what he's going to say. He doesn't actually start the lines until about right here. So right there.
Plenty of places to ride.
No, it's a little bit further back. This is where he starts. You can actually see the waveform right here in the audio. If I pull this back, and we want
Beautiful scenery.
beautiful scenery. That's where we want it to start. So I'm going to pull the thing back until it's right before he says beautiful scenery. And I'm actually going to put a little slice in here basically. If you come up here to your tools, you find the razor tool, which is also if you hit the C key. So if I type C, I'm on the razor tool, see? And if I just put my mouse right over where this red thing is, because I've already set up my scrubber here where I want it to go, and I'm going to click on the timeline. I've actually cut this into two pieces now. I'm going to go back to my regular selection tool, which is also the V key, and see if I scroll this here, I've actually got a line cutting these in two pieces. I can actually pull this clip to a different place because this is no longer associated with this. It's been cut. So this part I don't even want. So I can click it and hit delete because I don't even want that piece anymore. I'm only going to be using this. Now we're going to bring this video back in too, but right now I primarily am concerned with just getting the audio here. And so I'm going to click on this, and you notice that if you click on the timelines down here, it'll unselect it. If I click on the audio or the video, everything gets selected because these two things are linked together. What I want to do is unlink them so I can throw away the video and just have the audio track. So I'm going to right click on this thing and just go to unlink right here. Now when I click somewhere on the timeline, some gray area out here, it'll deselect these. If I click on either the video or the audio, then only that will be selected. So if I want to get rid of the video, I just hit delete. Now I only have the audio track left. So this is a really handy tool here to have in order to maximize efficiency. Now I'm going to be bringing in another audio track, and I'm going to be putting this audio track inside the other audio track. Now if you look at audio 1 and audio 2, audio 1 is kind of a thicker layer than audio 2. If I grab this audio clip and move it down to audio 2, you can't see the detailing in it anymore. And so what I want to do is just hit this little collapse expand track button here. It's right next to audio 2 so that it's expanded as well. And now I can move it up and down, and it will always show me the waveform and show me the level as well. Notice that when my mouse is over the top of this little yellow line right here, if I move my mouse over the top of this, I can actually pull this down and it will actually turn the volume down. See, it's at negative 22.27 decibels. That means it's going to go down 22.27 decibels from where it used to be. I can also pull it the other direction and make it louder, so the maximum I can go is 6 decibels. But I actually don't want to mess with this at all. I want it to be at 0. But just keep that in mind that sometimes when you grab the audio track, you might turn the decibels down. So when you grab the audio track, make sure that little icon with the up and down arrow doesn't show up and decibels doesn't show up. You want to grab it from this top bar here so that you can move it if you would like to move it. Okay, so what we want to do is split this up into all the things that he says. So let's play this.
Beautiful scenery. Plenty of places to ride. Beautiful weather. It just doesn't get any better than this. You're a rock star.
So we don't want "you're a rock star" at the end too. That's the director telling him that he did a good job. So we don't want that part. So I'm going to go back here to where he says his last thing and hit play again. It says it doesn't get any better than this, and about right here is where he stops talking. And so I'm going to pull this backwards to about right here, and I'm going to grab my razor tool again and cut this thing right there. And then I'm going to go back to my selection tool, select this little piece right here that I don't want anymore, and hit delete. So now I've just got what I want right there on the screen. I don't have anything else on there. And when you deal with film or editing of audio or video, you're always going to have beginning and endings where things were said afterwards or beforehand that you don't want in your final product, because people will say scene 1 action or whatever it is, and so you want to cut off those pieces. So what I want to do is play through each of these things, and I want to separate them into different segments. So he's going to say
beautiful scenery.
As soon as he's done saying beautiful scenery, and that's where it ends, I'm going to cut this with the razor right there. And then I'm going to play it again.
Plenty of places to ride.
Plenty of places to ride, so I want my thing to be ending right where he ends that phrase. And I'm going to cut it again.
Beautiful weather. It just doesn't get any better than this.
Beautiful weather, it just doesn't get any better. I want to separate those two. So beautiful weather. Oh, let me back it up a little bit further.
Beautiful weather.
So right about there is where he ends weather, so I'm going to cut that too. So now it's in 4 segments. We are going to intersperse this with another audio track, which is the ambient audio, or ambient ocean audio. So I'm going to pull ambient ocean audio to audio 2 track right there. And this is just, if you just pull this out here to this area, this is just like ocean sound. Okay, so we're going to use this, and we're going to separate these a little bit into this audio track. Okay, so I want to start out with my ambient audio ocean, and then it's going to go to this clip right here. Now if I grab this clip and pull it down onto this one, it actually replaces what was there. And so if I pull it back up, see there's now a hole where that thing used to be. I'm going to hit Control Z twice to go back in time. We want to make sure that these are in the right places. Okay, so before I start replacing some of this stuff, this is where we're actually going to turn down some of the decibel level of this ambient ocean because it's a little bit loud. So I'm going to move my mouse over this long yellow line in the middle and pull it down until it's at -8 something decibels. You want to hit around -8 decibels because otherwise the audio on this track is going to be a little bit too loud for us. Okay, now I'm going to separate these out, and I want this thing to take about 15 seconds for it to play out. So I'm going to pull this out until my time code, see, right here on the side, is at 15 seconds. See that 15 and 11? Now it's at 15, and that's where this is at as well. 15 seconds. Okay, that's where the red line is. That's where we want to go. So now I'm going to pull this one out a little bit further as well. And I'm going to have it end at the red line here at about 10 seconds. Somewhere around 10. Okay, and then I'm going to pull this one out to about 5 seconds. Maybe 5.5 seconds-ish. And then I'm going to pull this one out until it reaches the red. Okay. Now I'm going to move all these down the timeline just a little bit. So what I can do is I can select multiples of these if I click above them. See how I have a little box that shows up? I'm going to click above it and highlight all of these. And I'm going to move them down just a little bit. Just like so. So the first one should start at about 2 seconds, a little after 2 seconds. See how my scrubber right here is at the beginning of this audio clip right here? It's at 2 seconds. Now I'm going to highlight all of them one more time, and I'm going to pull them down into this audio track. So now we've got ambient ocean, what he says, ambient ocean, what he says. So it goes at every other one. So let's see what this sounds like.
Beautiful scenery. Plenty of places to ride. Beautiful weather. It just doesn't get any better than this.
Okay. So let's move all of this back up to audio track 1. I'm going to highlight all these clips right here and just pull them up so that they're on audio track 1 now. And I also want to, if you notice, when this plays, it kind of jars into the next sound, like it just pops into it. So we want to kind of blend those together. So I'm going to go to my transitions, my effects window right here on the left, and I'm going to go to Audio Transitions right here. Click the little arrow next to it. It says Crossfade. Click the arrow next to that one. And there's constant gain, constant power, and exponential fade. And I usually use constant gain. What this does is it blends from one audio to another. And so if I just click this and drag it over to right here, see how I can either be on the left, in the middle, or on the right? If I'm on the left, it means that the first track is going to fade out and then the next one is just going to start playing at 100%. Right here, it means that it's going to fade out and the other one is going to fade in at the exact same time. So as this first clip is fading out, this clip will be fading in at the exact same moment. This is the best result right here. And then if you put it right here, it means that this first clip is going to play the entire time at full loudness or full decibels, and then the next clip is going to start fading in after this one is stopped. So you really want these to overlap like this. So now we've got a constant gain, constant audio transition. And you can see it right here. And you can actually, if you double click this, you can see the transition right here, and you can actually pull this in and out over the overlapping clips. So this is how you can edit things fine-tuned, but we're just going to use the default anyway. So let's see how this sounds now, hitting the space bar.
Beautiful scenery. Plenty of places to ride.
Okay, hit the space bar again to pause it. So we're going to put constant gains in between all of these clips. So I'm going to drag this one on right there, this one on right here, and just keep doing this until all of them have a constant gain overlap. Make sure you're overlapping on the middle. Don't put it on the right so that it's on one clip or on the left. You want it to be right down the middle here of both of them. Okay, so now when we listen to this, hitting the space bar.
Beautiful scenery. Plenty of places to ride. Beautiful weather. It just doesn't get any better than this.
Okay, so now the definition between these is a lot better. You don't hear a jarring cut of noise. So this is a very nice feature to use when you are putting video or audio together so that your audio blends together nicely. Now we're also going to put this Explore California intro with drums and that. It's the other audio track. We're just going to pull that onto audio 2. And we're going to have this little music playing in the background as well. So if we hit spacebar, now you'll notice that this audio is really loud. Okay, it's overpowering what the guy is saying, and so we want to pull this decibel down as well. And before we brought it down to 8, we're going to bring it down to 12 this time and see how this sounds. Pull it down to 12.73, and then let's pull it back to the beginning.
Beautiful scenery. Plenty of places to ride. Beautiful weather. It just doesn't get any better than this.
Okay, now this audio is not going to last long enough because it starts to fade out here, and actually the audio level is still even a little loud. So I'm going to grab this and pull it down even further so that we're at 22 decibels and see how this sounds.
Beautiful scenery. Plenty of places to ride. Beautiful.
So the 22 decibels sounds a little bit better there, and so we're going to keep that at 22 decibels. And I'm also going to make it so that this thing laps or overlaps itself. First of all, the music doesn't start until right here. And so I'm going to actually pull this. If you put your mouse to the left or to the right of a clip, you'll see this little red box shape. It's got like arms on the top and the bottom, and a red bar, and then two arrows. What this does is I can pull this clip in and out like this, and it will actually cut off that section. But the stuff still exists. So the stuff that we just cut out, it still exists. I can actually grab this and pull it back to where it used to be. And so I want this to start right at the beginning. So I'm going to pull this until it meets up to the very beginning of the audio track right here. And I'm going to pull this backwards until it snaps on to the side here. And I'm also going to pull this side to where the audio ends, which is right there. And we'll see what this happens here.
Beautiful weather.
And we're going to bring this on again. So I'm going to grab this Exploring California intro and pull it back onto the screen again. Just out here somewhere. And I'm going to pull this in there. And I'm going to pull it so it snaps onto the last one. And now it's going to loop. But when you play this,
beautiful weather,
it's going to be the same loudness or the same volume. So we've got to pull the volume down to 22 decibels. And then we also don't want it to blast right off of right here, so I'm going to put in a constant gain here as well. So let's see how this sounds.
Plenty of places to ride. Beautiful weather.
So now it sounds like it just started right where it left off. It doesn't even sound like there's two files being played side by side. Okay? So that's our audio, and our audio is now complete. Now we're going to put some video in. So when putting video in, you want to be careful that you don't overlap what you already have here. If I, like, say, grab this train one, which is incidentally the one we're going to use first, and I pull this on, notice what's happening here with my, whoops. Okay. Before we pull the B-roll train on, I'm going to put my mouse right here in the timeline. I'm going to pull this up just so that I can see more of what's going on in the timelines here. So if I grab the B-roll train and pull it onto audio 1, or video 1, sorry, and put it right there, notice that I don't have any audio here at all. Okay? No audio went on because the B-roll train doesn't have any audio. But if I grab my A-roll, plan A, because that's got audio on it, see what happens? See how the audio is like locking onto audio 1? If I put this down right here, it's going to erase everything that is on audio 1, which is not what we want. So if you ever want to pull something onto the timeline and it doesn't, it looks like it's going to overwrite what you have on there already, what you want to do is pull it out to say video 3, and then it's going to drop down on audio 3, and it's not going to destroy anything that you put on there already. So that's just a good thing to remember. You don't want to see the audio track overlapping what you already have on there, because it's not gonna work out for you if you do that. So here's our B-roll train movie right here, and if I play this, oh whoops, I need to pull my scrubber back to the beginning.
Beautiful scenery.
So the B-roll train requires no editing. It's actually like a perfect size clip already, and so we're all good with that. And then we want to ride by. So ride by right there. Now the ride by has bicyclists. I'm going to show you another way to edit some video before you even put it on the timeline. So if I go to B-roll ride by 04 and double click this little icon here, it brings up this little window right here, and I'm going to pull this back down again so I can see the video a little better. Now, when I play this, it's just going to play what I have in there what I have in this video clip, nothing more, nothing less. Now, as you can see, it took a long time for those bicyclists to come by, and then there's a long time of the shot afterwards. We just want to see the bicyclists kind of where the sun starts, ride by, and then as soon as they're off the camera, then we want it to stop again. And so we only want that much of the clip to go on. And so what we can do is scroll backwards in time until they're right about where we want them, which is about right when they're right below the sun. And we're going to put an set endpoint right here. Setting an endpoint basically is saying this is where I want the clip to start. So I'm going to click there, and then I'm going to scroll through this, and you notice that it's highlighted here, the endpoint, and there's no out point. The out point is just at the end here. But as soon as that last bicyclist goes off the screen, so scrub through this with this little scrubbing tool right here, and see this is the last bicyclist, he exits the screen, this is where my out point should be. And so I'm going to hit set out point. And now I've got my in and out point. Now, you can grab these and pull them back and forth to increase or decrease your in or out points if you'd like. But we want this guy to be right where the sun is, kind of right there. Maybe a little bit farther back. Right there. That's good. Okay. So now I can grab this clip, pull it down, and now this is only pulling down that much of the video. Okay. And the audio went to audio 3 because I put the video on video 3. So if I play through this, okay, it plays the in and out points only.
Beautiful weather.
Okay, now I don't want the audio of the ride by, so I'm going to right click this video clip and hit unlink. So now this audio file or this audio clip track down here, I can click on it and just get rid of it because I don't want it anyway. We've already pretty much set up our audio. I'm going to put the ride by down here. And some of the ambient noise is a little bit long, and this happens all the time. Like where you find out that you made the audio a little bit too big or too small or whatever. Now, because what I want this guy to be saying plenty of places to ride when these guys are riding by. And if I hit play,
Plenty of places to ride.
I want him to say plenty of places to ride when these guys start to ride, not when they're ending their ride. And so this ambient noise here and this ambient noise here, I want them to be a little bit less. And so if I come out here to the edge of my ambient noise, the very first one that's highlighted right here, I can pull this backwards a little bit, and then all of my audio is going to have to go back with it. And so if I just, in this little area here, click and drag backwards through all of my audio, I can pull this stuff back until it's locked onto the old clip again. And my guy is saying plenty of places to ride right here. Okay, so I can shorten the ambient here or the ambient here. They're about the same size. So I'm going to shorten this one just a little bit further, and I'm going to shorten this one a little bit as well. And it takes away that constant gain, just so you know. And so I'm going to highlight everything backwards again and pull it towards the clip again. And I'm also going to highlight, because see this gap right here, there's no noise right there. So it sounds weird, it sounds jarring when that happens. When you have an ambient noise that's just gone.
Beautiful scenery.
So I'm going to pull all this back too. So I'm going to click inside this little gray area and drag backwards until I've gotten everything, and I'm going to pull this back until it's touching the old clip again. And now my plenty of plenty of places to ride is going to happen when these guys are riding by. So let's see how the time looks now.
Beautiful scenery. Plenty of places to ride.
So that's perfect. And then we're going to go and put into the next clip. And we're actually probably going to have to cut down some of this ambient noise again, which is fine. And you're going to have to do this quite a bit, just so you know. Because that's just the nature of video editing. You're going to have to tweak it a little bit. It's not going to work perfectly the first time. Now before we go on, let's put those constant gains back on in the places where we edited the audio. Because those places are now perfect. We've got it exactly how we want it. So now we've got constant gain between all of our audio tracks. Okay? So the next thing we're going to add is the B-roll standing around. So let's find standing around. And I'm going to double click this. And this is our clip. So let's take a look at it. So we're going to take a little bit of the standing around, but we don't want the whole thing. We just want a little bit of it. Probably where the guy is starting to ride off the screen. Like maybe right there. So I'm going to set an in point. Then I'm going to pull this to the out point, which will be about right there. And I'm going to drag this clip down to video 3 because this has audio on it, remember, so you don't want that to override any of your old audio. I'm going to right click this, unlink it, click to select nothing, and then I'm going to come down here and get rid of this audio 3. And pull my standing around down. It's locked on there. And it's a little long. I'm going to cut this down, but I just wanted to show you that what you do up here can be changed. I mean, if I wanted to change it up here and pull it back down, or I can change it here and pull it around. So let's see what the guy is saying at this point in the video.
Beautiful weather. It just doesn't get any better than this.
So I'm actually going to cut out the guy riding his bike and just show the ocean wave. So I'm going to pull this clip here backwards until the guy is off the screen. And then I'm going to pull this clip back until it locks onto the old clip again. And I'm going to trim the right side of it as well. So it's just a little bit of the ocean wave.
Beautiful weather.
Okay? The next thing we're going to put on is A-roll plan A 08. Which is our original clip. And I'm actually not going to pull it on the timeline here. I'm actually going to double click it and find the place that I want on here because it's going to be a lot easier. And what I want is where it says it just doesn't get any better than this.
It just doesn't get any better than this.
So I'm going to pull it back until I find where he said his last line.
Beautiful weather.
It just doesn't get any better than this, so I'm going to put my end point right there. Hit play.
It just doesn't get any better than this.
Let it play a little bit further. Set my out point. And I'm going to grab this clip and pull it onto the timeline. And I'm going to make sure that it is in the same place as the place where he's saying the line of the audio. Now, in order for this to work, we don't really want to replace the video and like try and line it up with the audio, because we've already got an audio track right here. So instead of doing anything different, changing out the audio, I'm actually going to pull this down, and I am going to replace my audio track with what's there. So I'm going to put this so it's locked on about right there. And I'm going to grab my audio track here, and I'm going to pull it up, and I'm going to put it over the top of my audio 1 because I want to replace it. Because I don't want to have to go back and change what I've already done. I want to make sure that his lips are synced up with what's here on the audio. Now what that did is destroyed my constant gain here. My constant gain crossfade, so I'm just going to put one back in here really quick. And so now he's like saying his line in the right place, and it cuts back to him saying his line.
It just doesn't get any better than this.
Okay, so we're just about finished. We're just going to cut to the California logo, which we have right here, the CA logo REARR.TIFF, this one right here. I'm going to pull this down onto the timeline. It doesn't have any audio associated with it, so I don't really have to be and fit 10%. Let's see, this picture is really, really big, so I'm going to put this at 10% right there, and I'm just going to grab this picture, and see this picture is way bigger than the actual screen. This is our actual video screen right here. The picture is way larger than it, so I'm going to hold shift and drag this down and situate it until it's in the right place. Once it's kind of where we want it to be, I'm going to increase this a little bit, 25%. So California, I want it to be taking up most of that area right there. Yeah, just like that. So now if I go back to fit, this is what we're going to see at the end.
It just doesn't get any better than this.
And that's how this thing is going to end, Explore California. Now this picture is on for quite a while. It's on for 5 seconds. And 5 seconds is a little bit long, so I'm just going to pull this back to 4 seconds. And actually automatically cut it down right here as well. The last thing we're going to do is add one video transition between him and the brochure. So I'm going to come over here to Video Transitions, scroll down a little bit. Now there are a lot of video transitions. Now let me tell you a little bit about video transitions. You may look through these video transitions and think to yourself, oh my gosh, these are really cool transitions. I really like them. I think that they have a whole bunch of different ones that you can show. Cube spin, doors, folding up, spinning. There's a lot of little animations that happen. Now, the one that you probably want to use about 95% of the time is called a cross dissolve or a dip to black. One of those two. Cross dissolve is where one thing slowly transits into another. So let me show you what that looks like. I'll pull this over. We're actually not going to use this one today. But if I put this over just like our audio transition, like so, and then show you what's happening here. When you hit play, he's gonna fade out while the other thing fades in. Okay? Now we don't want that as our dissolve, so I'm going to click this and hit delete. And what I want to do instead is a dip to black. Pull this in. That way, when this guy is talking, it's actually going to go to black first before it goes to California. And that's what we want. This is a good transition for this kind of an ad. Now the dip to black here, I'm going to double click it, and you can see my two clips here. I'm actually going to pull this out on the left a little bit more, actually quite a bit more, and on the right a little bit. That way it's going to dip for a longer amount of time. So I'm going to scroll backwards.
It just doesn't get any better than this.
And I'm also going to dip to black for the end. I'm going to put that on the end as well. So it's going to dip to black, California, explore, and then fade out. So the last thing we're going to do is trim off this audio. So I'm going to grab this audio track and pull it back until I'm locked on. You can lock on to the end of the clip we have here. I'm going to pull this one back until we lock on to the end of this clip right there. And I want to fade both of these out, and then we're all done. This one is complete. So I'm going to go back to my audio transitions, my constant gain crossfade, pull that on to here, and pull that on to here. That way we're going to have a fade out of our audio. Just like so. Okay, save your project, and then we're going to go on to how to export your video. But go ahead and save your project file to your project folder.